Thank you.
Okay, Brendan, can you make me host again? Okay, thanks. Right, here we are. People still coming in. Welcome. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, Carol Sue. I haven't seen you for a long time. Okay.
Is it going to be a big class today?
Yeah, we're going to be what? Sorry?
A big class?
Yeah, we had 20 books.
Oh.
So I'm not sure if they're all going to come in or not, but we'll see. So feel free, Carol Sue, to put your video on. It's not that late, is it for you? What's your time? Is it midnight?
It is 12 midnight.
Midnight.
Okay, so you're already in bed, are you?
Of course. With curlers in my hair.
Okay, okay. Noreen, hello, welcome. Hey, hey, nice to see you there. Okay, and thanks for having your video on. It's great. And who else we got? Teresa, hello.
Hi, how are you this evening?
I'm well.
I guess it's not evening there, huh?
That's not. Where are you, Teresa? Where are you from?
In Michigan.
You're Michigan, so you also midnight, are you? Okay, yeah. So
Yes, I'm sleepy tired, but your class is so good, I had to stay up to see it.
That's kind of you, thank you. Okay, we got Sandy. Hello, Sandy. All I can see is a red background.
Yeah, I have an old computer, so the camera's not working, and I'm also from the Michigan area, Westland, Michigan.
Okay, so you're also midnight. My goodness me. Okay, you guys like staying up late. Eh?
I don't sleep very well, so it fills my evening.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, it's horrible when you don't sleep well. Yeah, and yeah, then we've got Pat. Hello, Pat. Hello, Pat.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? Welcome, Pat.
Hanging in there. What time is it in Australia?
It's midday now. Midday. Yeah. And you? Are you also midnight?
No, I'm at 9 p.m.
Okay. Okay. You're on the West
Hey,
Coast.
Michael.
Terry, nice to see you again. Hello.
You.
Yeah. My wife tells me you were in her class just a little
I
while
just
ago.
finished, yes.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
Had some good laughs.
Good. Okay. That's super. And was it the bucket list class? Okay.
Yes, the bucket list class.
Yeah. Isn't that so interesting? Yeah.
Mhm.
Especially the soul bucket list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, nice to have you here.
Thank you.
And Melinda Manning, I haven't seen your name for a long time. Hello, Melinda. Hello, Melinda. Welcome to class. Okay, nice to have you. Okay. Yeah, you're also very late, aren't you, Melinda? Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's make a start. We've got half of everybody that booked, so we can, I think we can probably move forward. And I want to welcome Brandon, who is our TA from Get Set Up. Those of you that attend regular classes, you will know Brandon now. He's been around a little while, and he'll be looking after all the technical issues and the background noises and anybody who can't get their cameras on or can't get their hair curlers out of their hair before they go to bed. Okay. All right, welcome, Brendan. Okay, Brandon, actually, it's Brandon, not Brendan. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and then we can make a go. You should all be able to see my slide introduction, nutritional potted herbs. Can you see it, Terry? Just nod your head. Okay. Okay, that's great. Okay. And well, some of you have really stayed up very late tonight. And so I know many of you, and as you know, it's customary to let newcomers perhaps that are in the class to know a little bit about Get Set Up. And so Get Set Up helps you, as you can see from your screen, learn useful skills from people like you and I, okay? So that together we can do wonderful things. Okay. So, okay, somebody's got, okay, well done, turn it off. We don't have any more background noise. So we learn from each other at Get Set Up, and it is ideal when it's possible, when you haven't got curlers in your hair and it's 12 o'clock and you're going to bed, to have your cameras on, all right? But I understand that you can't always have your camera on. But if you can, then it's much appreciated. So yeah, there's some people that are joining by live stream, either from Get Set Up TV, or Facebook, or YouTube. And so welcome to you too, because we're broadcasting across the planet on all the different apps. So if you're watching there, welcome, and whatever your time zone is. Remember, we don't promote any products, because I will be talking about some products possibly here in the class. We don't get paid at all, okay? And for those one or two newcomers that I don't recognize, hello, Gail, that's nice to see you again. Okay, super. Okay, well, yeah, we've got an Australian now, or from Adelaide. So we have one person who's not from North America. Okay, that's great. All right, so for those newcomers, I live in Perth, Western Australia. The time's just gone midday, and my background is an author, researcher, business owner, trainer, okay? Yeah, I focus on, or used to focus as a career on mentoring business owners, and but I enjoy hobbies, gardening, and growing microgreens, which I run a class with as well. But certainly I've found my niche now for myself at Get Set Up. So today, you can see from the agenda on your screen what we're going to cover. You know, there are remarkable new uses for these plants that, in a sense, have been around since, you know, humanity's been around. But there are new things being discovered very recently about these remarkable plants. So with each new piece of research, it seems as though a little more of the power of herbs is being unlocked through science. So, you know, the discovery, as we know, many years ago, about the prebiotic effects of herbs on the gut microbiome, and their subsequent generation of health-promoting, might not know this, postbiotics, has expanded the view of herbal benefits to include therapeutic effects. And so before we move forward, and before you all fall asleep at midnight, there's a question I would like those who want to answer. So I get a feeling of who I'm talking to. The question on the screen is, have you grown or even regularly use herbs? yeah, okay. Gail nods her head. Okay.
I've attempted to grow them. I've killed them.
Ah, good. Thank you, Teresa.
I've grown rosemary.
Okay, thanks, Pat. Okay. Anybody else want to?
Oh, and I do
Basil
cook
for
with them.
pesto.
Sorry, two of you spoke at once. Carol Sue, go.
Basil for pesto.
Sorry.
Basil for pesto.
Okay, right. Thank you.
I was saying that I do cook with rosemary, thyme, oregano. I do use herbs for cooking. And I recently purchased herbs at the grocery store. They were on clearance for $2 a pot, and all of them died, all 12. So I don't know. I had a mint plant once from class that also died. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I have plants. I grow those, but the herbs are not my friends.
Okay, well, thanks, Teresa. Yeah, herbs are yeah, you can't really categorize all of them as the same, and we'll talk about that. But growing them, you know, depending on the economic environment at that moment in that year of your life, the herbs will respond differently and grow differently as well. Unless you've got 100% artificial environment that you grow them in, and that's not enjoying them necessarily. Then you know you're probably growing them artificially, or maybe for other reasons. You know, you want to make money out of them. Okay, so what is the difference? A good place to start with this whole discussion is about what is the difference between fruit, vegetables, herbs, spices, and microgreens, okay? And I'll also talk about microherbs as well. And so, you know, some of the things are pretty obvious. You know, while fruits are typically known as part of the plant that contains the seed, okay, vegetables can be made up of any edible part of a plant, including the roots, the bulbs like carrots, potatoes, and beetroot. Okay. Herbs, though, are a subset of vegetables, and they are generally composed of strong, flavorful leaves of certain plants like dill and oregano, thyme, parsley, and sage, and cilantro and basil, as you mentioned a moment ago. But herbs are typically used to season dishes. I think we've all done that, and as somebody mentioned, I think Teresa as well. But research now shows they have far more uses, especially in health. Okay. So spices, finally, are taken from practically any part of the plant, you know, including the roots, the seeds, the leaves, the fruit, even the bark. Okay, and let's just look at some examples so it perhaps becomes just a little bit clearer. Spices made from the roots would include turmeric, ginger, horseradish. Okay, spices made from fruit would be like red pepper, fennel, coriander. Spices from seeds include allspice, black pepper, mustard, caraway. Spices from leaves include bay leaf, mint, yeah, and others. So spices come from any part of a plant, but herbs come from the fresh plant leaves. Okay, and I want to, as I said, I'm going to just mention what you see on your screen now. Okay, so microherbs are small plants that have a strong, fleshy, juicy stem when they are young. Okay, microherbs hold most of their flavor, their nutrients, and fragrance in their leaves. Okay, and in the stems. The antioxidant level, antioxidant, I get it out eventually. Antioxidant levels in fresh microherbs are much higher than in dried herbs. So why not incorporate fresh herbs into your meals more often, in order not only to improve the taste, but to give a healthy nutritional boost. And we'll talk about that as we move through the class. Okay, so microherbs are basically harvested when they are maybe 5 centimeters tall, depending on the herb, but when they're very young, before they anywhere near becoming a herb plant. Okay, and I guess for those in America using different, if I said centimeters, I don't know, probably an inch or two, when they're about that tall, you would be able to harvest them and eat them and get all the flavor and the nutrients from the microherbs. And I do a class on microgreens where I do talk about those microherbs as in passing, basically. But they're a very, very important part of growing. I tend to do a lot more in microherbs than I actually do, and I do grow in pots the herbs as well, but certainly I've got a variety of microherbs that are ongoing on a daily basis, that are here to be cut and eaten. So you can see on your screen now, all human beings are energy, and the mitochondria are the energy factories of the body. And there are about several thousand of these mitochondria in nearly every single cell in the body. Okay, so they are small. Okay, their job is to process oxygen and convert substances from the food you digest into energy. They produce most of the energy needed for the brain and the body to function. Okay, are you feeding those little mitochondria? Diseases occur when the mitochondria fail to produce enough energy and for the body to be able to function correctly and the brain to function correctly. So any cell in the brain, or anywhere in the body for that matter, to function correctly, you need to feed it. Okay, and so depending where in your body the cells are not being fed, that will impact on the type of symptoms you have in your health, and where those particular cells are located in your body. So symptoms will differ when you're talking about mitochondria and feeding the mitochondria. From being almost unknown in the West, the past 20 years have seen a rise of popularity in Ayurveda. It's the traditional medical system of India, and we need to learn from them, because they've been using herbs for all types of ailments, and it's now coming to the fore. And now, in the West, it's about science. Science catches up eventually with what perhaps the Indians have been doing for thousands of years and using herbs for. And the Ayurveda medicine, when you look at Ayurveda or Ayurvedic, you look from an Ayurvedic perspective, maybe is a better way of saying it. They claim disease originates in the digestive tract, in the microbiome. Now, science has just discovered that in the West. Okay, so a potential disorder is identified during the first stage of imbalance as it develops in the gut. Despite this huge interest that has developed around the microbiome in science in the West, okay, the Ayurveda has known it that the digestive tract is the key to health, okay, and it's therefore the root cause of diseases, as well as the solution for the cure. So the mitochondria dysfunction underlies the numerous diseases, okay, that range from heart disease, neurodegenerative disorders, cancer, inherited disorders, okay, interestingly, myopathies, muscular dystrophies. Balance is another issue, and yeah, obesity, diabetes, kidney diseases, painful legs, bones, joints, aging itself, all relates back to those little fellows, the mitochondria, not getting their nutrients. So herbs promote these therapeutic benefits, and even helps promote things that haven't been discovered by science yet, but have been known elsewhere in the world, as I mentioned. So what the mechanism that the gut uses is quite intriguing, because it's about the absorption of a health, what shall I say, a healthy, not mitochondria, but a healthy gut absorbs nutrients and into your bloodstream, and then these little cells all over the body can be fed. And again, depending on the receptor on these cells and what they're signaling, whether it's on your tongue, things that you're putting in your mouth, which then are the receptors sending messages through various parts of your body, particularly the nerves, okay, will determine also how effectively you absorb these. Whether you're talking about the chemicals that are produced, which we call postbiotics, okay, and these postbiotics get the messages and break down certain things. So I've labored a little bit here on purpose, because it's where my heart lies, basically, is in the health, and particularly having got to this age in my life now where these things become important, and we need to be listening to a more natural side of health, and certainly herbs play an enormous big role in that. All right, so maybe it's a good place to just stop for a moment and see if anybody wants to say anything about what I've said about the nutritional side of herbs generally.
I actually do have a comment. My grandfather's father was a Native American, and whenever he was sick, he would go out in the field and pick herbs and make teas and tonics for himself. Unfortunately, I thought it was strange, and I never asked him what he was picking or any of that. I just knew that he was using it to make himself well.
Right. And did it work for him?
Yes, he lived a ripe old age, and finally he fell and broke his hip, and he was put in the hospital. He did not want to go there, and he never came out.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for sharing that. I must say, I think back now on my grandmother too. She used to grow herbs just around the edge of the house and so on, and was always eating them. And so, yeah, we probably all have had grandparents and even parents that have been doing that. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments before we move on? Thanks, Teresa, for sharing that. So the first one that I want to talk about, I've put them in for myself in a certain order that is logical to me, and through my experience of illness and moving forward, and what I use now for health and so forth. So, like, almost you could say top of my list. And believe me, there are hundreds of herbs, and there are hundreds of options that I could have put into this class, but there's a reason that I'm doing what I'm doing, because I have got a lot of my knowledge, or the little knowledge that I've got, from the Ayurvedic as well as from science. And so turmeric for me is has herbal nutritional benefits that are very chemically complex. And usually one talks about a herb, and we keep that's like very simple. That's a herb, okay, but it's not, okay. Herbs potentially yield a host of medical properties with far-reaching effects on multiple targets in the body system. So the complexity stands in stark contrast to drugs that affect single aspects, okay, or single targets. Therefore, many herbs commonly used as adaptogens have a chemical intelligence. Okay. It's based on their complexity, if that makes sense, to perform multiple services in the body, not just one, okay? Because, if you're getting ill, it's not about, well, I've got a pain in this part, and that's where we treat it, that particular target, and treat the pain and treat the symptoms, okay? The herbs, just by their very nature and their complexity, treat everything, okay? Not just the one aspect, okay? So, and I find turmeric promotes a robust changes in the microbiome that increases beneficial butyrate bacteria. I remember writing an article on butyrate that was like 2 pages long. I couldn't believe, how beneficial butyrate was, and so just sufficient to know in this class that it promotes the benefits of butyrate. Turmeric does. So butyrate it provides fuel for the microbiome, as well as those cells we spoke about earlier. And therefore, if you've got a good, strong microbiome, you have a really good chance of having a strong immune system then, okay? And they support each other. Now, herbs go through that process, okay? And it certainly, butyrate, along with turmeric, regulate the nervous system. And the nervous system is very important as we grow older, okay? Not only for dementia-type diseases, but, just to keep the nervous system intact, because it starts losing part of its coating, and then the messages aren't getting through. So anything that supports the nerves, for me, is like must be top of the list somewhere, okay? And so turmeric is one of those, and as a result, it strengthens the resistance to stress because it focuses on the nerves. The endocrine hormones that are key in the stress response, talking about stress, are beneficially modulated across a whole range of herbs, not just turmeric, but certainly turmeric as well.
To increase the absorption of the turmeric, should you use black pepper? That's what I heard.
Yeah, but all herbs, don't sort of fall into the trap of, well, this one herb is going to be good for this. Yes, it is. And your answer to you, Carol Sue, is yes, black pepper. I put black pepper on everything that I basically eat. But it's not a solution by itself. It must be sort of in a combination. I use the word in my household here, diversity, okay? In diversity lies the health, and as opposed to perhaps one herb, okay? So it's the whole scheme is so complicated that research is bound up in all types of processes, but the net result might come down to herbal compounds forming a natural synergy with the body, Sue. So keep it across. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you. Okay, in other words, it's a global effect in the direction of well-being, if you put that black pepper for that, yes, it's part of the whole process that we're moving forward with, and black pepper is important, yes. And particularly, look for it as being organic. Everything should try and be organic, all right? Not always possible, but where it's possible, look for that super word, organic. Tells you so much. So the turmeric herbs molecules, might improve how other plant chemicals are metabolized, okay, and made available to the body to enhance immunity. So I think that's also, in a way, answering Sue's answer, is that you need turmeric in order to have the black pepper and other herbs, their nutrients and their benefits to be effective. All right. So that's why I put turmeric where it is now. And so remember, you don't necessarily have to grow all your own herbs. You've got to just be that way inclined. And herbs will talk to you, and you need to talk to your herbs. Okay, it's a communication, it's a feeling. Okay, so as much as you might talk to your dog, okay, or your animal that you have, and it responds in certain ways. With quantum physics now, we understand that we're all energy and we're all interconnected. So your thoughts are definitely going to affect your class, your growing of herbs, and the benefits of the herbs as well. But this class isn't about that. You've got get set up classes that can deal with those sort of things and explain them. But I just concur with them. I think that it's very important. So how to grow turmeric indoors. The plants produce a foliage clumps, about it varies depending on the climate, but about 3 foot high and wide. Okay, and while below ground, the rhizomes mature like little finger tubers, you see on the image there on the left there. Okay, it's very much like ginger, and so turmeric thrives also in warm, humid conditions, well-drained neutral soil. Don't put it into soppy, wet soil and expect it to survive. Okay, so the best way to grow it is you see that picture on the left there, that is shooting. Buy it at that level if you want to start at that point, okay, or just get the tubers. I mean, I've got a tuber lying around here in just on top of one of my pots next to me. I'm waiting for it to shoot at some stage, but the environment is cold, it won't shoot yet. And so I need to put it, maybe if I wanted it to shoot, I don't particularly, because I'm just observing it. I want to see when it shoots in this cold climate that we're in now in our winter. So, but from tubers, that's where you can start. And you can see the pot in the middle there. 3 tubers have been put in there, and please buy organic, untreated tubers if you're going to. Okay, fingers, or hands. You get them all connected together, and you might well decide to buy a whole hand, because the supermarkets sell them like that. Just be careful. They are probably treated, and you need to ensure yourself that that they are not treated if you are going to grow them and you're going to move forward into the future with them. So sprout these rhizomes that you see on the left there indoors. Keep them warm by using a heat mat. If you're in the, like we are in our winter, and the heat mat is beautiful. It's just very vaguely warm, okay, and you put your pot on top of it, and then it sort of warms the whole area, and you can even make an artificial tiny little look-alike sort of something over it in order to maintain the warmth above the soil, because the soil will be warm enough for it to sprout. But then once it sprouts and grows, you might want to keep it warm in sort of an artificial hothouse type environment. Okay. So then when they get to about 5 centimeters, when they get to 5 centimeters, you plant them about 5 centimeters under the ground. And so they're well hidden, they're in darkness, and you give them a little bit of water that will drain out and dry quickly. And then once they have sprouted, you put them in a pot like I've shown you there, and then choose a location that gets at least part sun, if not full sun. Okay, they're very, very hardy. You can keep them inside permanently as a houseplant. They won't grow as big as if they were growing outside in the sun with all the elements, but they will still grow. And if you're going to put them outside, just make sure that your frost period has gone. And then it takes you about 10 months, and then you can harvest them. Okay. All right. Any particular questions before I move on to my next?
I do have a question. I know that when you pick ginger, you look at the ginger for the little eyes on them that can sprout roots. And I'm wondering, how do you pick your turmeric?
Same thing. They look very similar, in fact. Okay. You might even confuse the one with the other. So they will also have little eyes, and that's where they'll sprout. Okay. Okay, so have I answered that question? Yeah. All
yes,
right.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So the next, really full of nutrition, full of, and it needs to be somewhere there. The ashwagandha. Okay. The ashwagandha is one of the most potent herbs in Ayurvedic healing. Okay. Has been since ancient times for a wide variety of conditions. Okay. It is most well known for its restorative and rejuvenating benefits. Now that tells you something straight away. Okay. Because one needs to look more broadly at healing and health. It contains, as I've shown on the screen there, a glutathione, which is like the mother of all antioxidants. It is powerful. It is strong. Now remember, for those that are thinking about antioxidants very, sort of artificially, when you say the word antioxidant, it's like saying anti-cancer, or anti-dementia, or anti-aging, or anti-anxiety, or antidepressant, okay, or anti-inflammatory, inflammation. That's what antioxidants are. They deal with those things that come up into our bodies, and that we need antioxidants, okay, from all sources, not just from one source. I also get them from dark black chocolate, okay, but you get them from a lot of places. And but the herbs, and this particular herb, wow, okay, it has been known for more than 5,000 years that it helps with the healing of rheumatism, constipation, insomnia. There we are. Who can't sleep? Okay, was it you, Teresa? Okay, but yeah. So it is very, very powerful. It will also deal with things like constipation as well, and nervous conditions, stress, goiter, joint inflammation, even parasites and hormone imbalances. But remember, again, it's in combination. You don't rush out and go and buy this, because you can't sleep. Okay, it's the main ingredient. It's something that it's powerful, but give it diversity of it's supporting families of other herbs, and it doesn't have to be specific other herbs. Okay, it can just be other herbs. You know, it'll strengthen your immune system, you know, particularly after illnesses, and particularly after things like chemotherapy, you know, or surgery. You know, this is one of those foundations, because it really improves an underactive thyroid. It helps reduce brain cell degeneration, okay, which means it's going to improve cognitive function. It helps with the management of bipolar. Okay. That for me, you know, I used to suffer. I was born suffering from bipolar, and so it improves learning and memory and promotes new nerve growth. You know, adrenal fatigue possibly, and blood sugar levels, and Alzheimer's, obviously, because it's part of what I said earlier. But then you've got the immune system, and it boosts the immune system, and the immune system goes out and then does a lot of good with all the things that I've mentioned. So you've got to have a strong immune system. To have a strong immune system, you need a strong microbiome, and the herbs will do that. And certainly this particular herb. It also lowers cholesterol and triglycerides. Okay. So I just feel that the ashwagandha herb is an essential herb because it serves many purposes and is used to help the body in balance as well. So, you know, I just feel that I must admit, I cannot, from growing, I have not grown it. I've just bought mine, and it's part of my daily aspects. But so I've researched how you would grow it. So this is now not from my personal experience, but certainly from what I found that I want to share with you. So it is a drought tolerant plant. Okay, it grows in dry soil once established. So you start off, as you can see in the little sort of tree. You can put them into trays, or you can see one sprouting out of the ground now. You plant them from seeds. Okay, you can see the seeds in this image up here on the top. So you can buy the seeds. You buy organic seeds, and then you plant them in sort of a seed tray, and plant them about 2 centimeters deep. And so it's just really under the soil, and then, you know, apart from each other, maybe 10 centimeters apart. But again, unless you've got a warm tray, you're going to have to wait until the temperature in that environment in your house or your balcony is sort of above 20 degrees centigrade. And I think that's about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, if I remember correctly. Anybody who knows better, please let me know. I tend to generalize about these conversions, but I think it's about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, so and seeds will then germinate in again, depending on the climate and the temperature, about 2 weeks. Okay, and then you water the seedlings well. Okay, while they are establishing. You then, because I know I said at the beginning they like dry soil and so on, but not when they're babies. Okay, treat them and make sure they get water. Then you can start thinning them out if you already planted into a bigger environment, and then, you know, maybe transplant one into a pot that you want to keep. Okay, a pot that's going to need plenty of sun, whether it's outside your house or inside your house. It needs to be. It needs to have plenty of sun. So the actual soil itself that you've transplanted into needs to be sandy. Okay, it needs to be well drained. Okay, and so that it can dry out quickly. You don't want it sitting in wet. And those that deal with pH levels, it should be neutral, okay? And if it leans in any direction, it could be perhaps slightly alkaline. But growing ashwagandha in pots is not possible in soil that retains moisture. Okay, so remember that. You might go out with great good intentions and say to wherever you buy your soil, you know, I want a really good nutritious soil, and they'll give you something that retains the moisture, and you could be in for a hiding. Okay, so again, I say keep the pots in a nice sunny place, and you'll be able to harvest after about 6 months. Okay. And come back in 6 months and ask me how I've done. I'm going to do that. So
I did have a question to ask you about the ashwagandha.
Yes, please, Teresa.
I wondered, I had it in my arsenal for COVID. When I caught COVID, I used herbs and things to heal my body. But I was told that it had side effects, so I stopped taking it. Is that true?
Wow. Okay. I don't think I'm qualified to answer that. I think somebody with more knowledge about that aspect might be the right person. Maybe a practitioner who deals with herbs and deals with herb healing as an occupation might be able to tell you that. Because it is so powerful, Teresa, I can imagine it may well have side effects if taken, more than a minimum, and I don't have a definition for minimum, a minimum amount. If you take too much of it, because it's so powerful, I think there could be issues there. It wouldn't surprise me, let's say, but I'm sorry, I cannot answer that. Do you mind going to a nutritionist?
I appreciate you, sharing that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So the next thing we come to is basil. Now, we all know basil. We probably all use basil. And did you know there's something called holy basil? It's sort of an adaptogenic herb, and one of the top herbs for healing. It can fight all sorts of viral and bacterial and fungal infections. Holy basil helps relieve headaches and sinuses and pressure, and supports dental health and protects the health of your heart. But I want to talk about basil, not holy basil. Okay. So you'd need to go researching somewhere else for holy basil, because it intrigues me when I read up about holy basil. And so don't get the two confused. They are obviously direct family, but basil is really a good source of, for people who are vegans and vegetarians and others, a good source of protein, okay? A good source of riboflavin as well, and niacin. And it has plenty of dietary fiber, and has vitamins A, B, no, not B, A, C, E, K, and B6. That's yeah. It has folate, it has calcium, it has iron, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, zinc, copper, and manganese. So you can't tell me that basil isn't something that really needs to be in part of your diet, part of the diversity I spoke about earlier. You got to ask yourself too, because I mean, we're all seniors, we've all arrived at this stage of life where we have wisdom, and are these nutrients not going to benefit your health big time? Okay, and you can't always rely on supplements, because you don't know whether you're absorbing them. Okay, you don't. Okay, they might just be passing all out, and you're spending all these dollars on nutrients, and you don't know, unless you have various aspects of your systems analyzed. Okay, but by eating a diversity of herbs, it's going to restore your microbiome, and you're going to absorb, full stop. Okay, without any tests. So basil should be one of those diversity herbs that you read. You know, it's very, very strong in the reduction of oxidation stress and oxidative stress. Sorry, after I've said it, I realized it was wrong. Basil, it's full of antioxidants. We spoke earlier about antioxidants. So here you've got another herb that is full of antioxidants. Okay, like most herbs. Okay, but you know, with this particular herb, you know, the beta carotene helps fight the free radicals in the body, and can otherwise lead to cell damage if you don't have something that is doing that. And the cell damage will increase a variety of different health conditions, including cancer, heart disease, arthritis, and diabetes. Okay. So this is one of the herbs for cancer prevention. Okay, in its fresh, full growth state, but also as a micro herb. Okay, I use it and harvest it as a micro herb. Okay, yeah, I do have one in a pot as well. Okay, so for cooking, and I allow one of the micro herbs to grow full out and plant it in a pot, and when the weather is right and warm. But with the micro herbs, I can have it, you know, in this artificial warmth place that I keep a mat under the pot. So you know, definitely it will help with lung cancer and liver cancer and oral cancer, skin cancer. Okay. Then also with blood, it certainly help with the long-term effects of blood, heart diseases, mental health. Certainly blood inflammation is like the start of just about all diseases is blood inflammation. It will help with reducing that, okay? And so, yeah, basil is, it's I believe should be part of it. You know, even if you're only having 2 or 3 herbs as your diversity, then include this as well. And it can be grown in pots, okay? It can be grown as a microgreen, and I really recommend it for the health benefits. Just grow it as a microgreen, okay? And then harvest it when it's, you know, maybe 5 or 6 centimeters tall, or even 10 centimeters. But it's got a lot of leaves on it, baby leaves on it. That's the time to harvest it. And so that's how I would grow it. All right. You can put it into a pot and have 1 or 2 in a protected environment, and a certain amount of sun as well. But again, you've got to experiment with sun, because you can give it too much sun, but you can also give it too little sun. You know, terrible thing I'm saying. I'm not really giving you any advice, am I? But as long as you become aware, I think that's the most important thing. I think you know, there's a microgreen image of basil that I've included there, and it's ready, not quite ready yet to harvest, but you know, it may be a little taller than that, and then you can grow them in pots, and they are quite decorative. But remember, it does need some sun, but not too much sun. Okay, so I'm looking, I've been talking too much, and I see we're going to be running out of time. Okay, and anyway, let's see how we can move forward. And so coriander or cilantro, people believe it's one and the same thing. Not quite. It depends on, you know, harvesting certain aspects of the plant and how you treat it. But basically, for this conversation, it's the same thing. And it's also, you know, good dietary fiber. You need dietary fiber. It's very important for our health. Okay, so a lot of these herbs, as I mentioned, it's also very strong in manganese and iron and magnesium. And you'll get plenty of vitamin C in the leaves, and vitamin K and protein are involved. But the one thing that I want to mention about this coriander, it has a powerful flavonoid, which is called luteolin, which is part of the polyphenol family. And if you've ever done my microgreens, I labor on that a little bit. And it certainly helps with the prevention of cancer and the chemotherapy recovery as well. It has a way of activating a whole lot of different enzymes in your body. Okay, and you need these enzymes, not just digestive enzymes, there are other enzymes as well. So keep that in mind, and absolutely you can grow it in a pot, and you can grow it as a microgreen as well, and you'll be able to harvest it in any way that you like. But again, microgreens are probably the easiest, and then you can get more cut-ins from microgreens if you grow them properly and cut them properly. So oregano is a list of benefits that is long as my elbow, but it basically known elsewhere in the world where people have been using it for a long time to treat respiratory issues, and it certainly fights infections. Okay, and again, the microherb state is an ideal way to harvest it. But you can also, if you were going to, you can buy the oil. Don't suggest you try and extract the oil yourself, but the essential oil of this particular herb has amazing abilities, like for chronic inflammation and arthritis, and atherosclerosis as well as diabetes. So it's another one that must be added, and it can be grown in a pot as well. It's it's different. You need to have a potting mixture that's ideal for it. It's a little bit more sensitive than one of the other herbs that we mentioned at the beginning, like turmeric. Okay, but again, start it in a feeder tray, in a seed tray, and you keep the soil moist all the time here. Okay, and once they reach about 10 centimeters tall, that's the time that you can transplant them, or you can harvest them as microgreens as well. And so that is another really interesting one to have around. And then, of course, we all know rosemary. Okay, it has wherever you look and research, you find the benefits of rosemary, and again, antioxidants, and the list is amazing. It also has an aroma, okay, that I think we all know about. So the aroma of rosemary has been linked to improving your mood. So you would have this somewhere where you can sort of touch it with your hands or brush against it, and just to get the aroma. And I haven't extracted anything and made maybe candles or something like that. But if any of you do, please let me know, because the aroma is very healthy. Okay, but it protects your skin. All the things that we've talked about with other herbs, this herb has it as well, and it's so easy to grow. Okay, so it thrives in a sunny, sheltered spot in well-drained soil. Okay, it will struggle if it's heavy clay soil, so be careful there. It needs to be well-drained, and you must bear in mind that this perennial herb definitely can grow quite big. Okay, and you will need fresh potting soil at least every couple of years as well. So beware of the space. And I have mine outside. I can see it from here where I'm sitting, on the sort of pathway that leads down to my main gate. And it doesn't get enough sun in winter, but it gets a lot of sun in summer. So, my last words to you is spice it up. Spice it up. Add turmeric with a pinch of black pepper, Teresa. Add it to your tea, add it to your soup or your smoothie. Okay, and it will boost your mood and lower anxiety. Even add things that I haven't said, like fresh peppermint to tea. And that'll cut through your brain fog as well. So enjoy the rest of your night and you're sleeping. I'll answer any questions or any comments that anybody would like to make right now. So please, would you like to add anything?
I actually do have one. I guess I'm the big mouth this evening.
Pleasure.
I'm not receiving the class information on my email so that I can rate your class or do anything like that. Should I call customer service about that?
Yeah, I think Brandon is listening now. I mean, he's part of our TA that I introduced at the beginning. He will certainly take that forward on your behalf, saying that you're not getting emails. Everyone in my past class didn't get emails too. So let me just let you know that it seems to be a technical problem. But I would also play your part and just send an email to help@getsetup.io and tell them that you haven't received them. Okay, they need.
Okay.
And so yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I really appreciate it. All right, any other comments?
I have another question.
Sure.
Okay, I've never been into like fresh herbs. I usually buy the ones in the bottle, but I want to start getting the fresh herbs. So where could I start looking for them?
Okay.
And then maybe start to plant my own.
Yeah. I don't know, other members of the class perhaps could answer you. I tend to be biased towards starting with microgreens because you're going to get the health benefit of growing the sort of baby plants, the microgreens. So, and if you go online, wherever you're living, you will find, if you just Google microgreens or microgreen seeds, you would start from seed and in any sort of container and then start from there. It would be a good starting point. Another good starting point would be go to your plant nursery and buy already a little herb in a pot that you can, like a rosemary, for example, that you could start. It's already grown, it's already there. You bring it home and you nourish it, and it will be there for 2 years at least. Okay, so that's another way. So either buy it or be adventurous with the seed. Okay.
I'd really like to start with the plant itself.
Yeah, go to, I don't know in America, in Australia we call them plant nurseries. What do they call them in America? Okay, I'm not sure. Where you go to buy trees and plants and vegetables in pots.
It's called a nursery.
It's called a nursery. Okay.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, go to a nursery. Yeah, the nurseries are starting to specialize quite a lot. So you would have to find a nursery that will grow those many herbs. But it's very common. It's very common. So you should be able to pick it up. All right.
Okay, thank you.
I actually found my plants at grocery stores and like Fresh Thyme, Whole Food. I even got some from Kroger's.
Okay.
I think I've seen some even at Myers, but there were few, and they, like I said, I usually was buying them in the bottles anyway.
Yeah. Try and get them green, your herbs green, diversity of herbs. But if you can't get them green, then in a bottle is fine. The health benefits are not as powerful when they're dried than when you eat them green. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could use the benefits of, especially the basil and oregano, and that I can't even pronounce the other one, the ashwagandha.
That's fine. Yeah. All right. Any other questions or comments?
I do want to ask you really quickly. The ashwagandha that I have is in the pill form. Is that good, or is it better to try and find it at a farmer's market or something?
Yeah, that's a difficult one because, you know, pills are pills, and where it comes from. So if you've researched where it comes from and how they've made it, it is absolutely acceptable. Okay. But you know, check how much of it has in the pill, look at the percentage of it, and as I say, look where it comes from. And then also remember, you know, you need to digest that still. So if your microbiome is not absorbing everything that you put in your mouth, then you could be wasting your time. Whereas if you do it with microgreens will heal your microbiome and then maintain. Okay.
Good point. Thank you.
Okay, pleasure.
Michael, I managed to get my seeds yesterday or day before, whenever we had that class. And I just ordered them online from the seed supplier.
You started to plant seeds? No.
No, I ordered my seeds from the seed supplier online.
Sorry, you keep breaking up, so I don't hear everything you're saying. Okay, now your microphone's off. It's chopped. Okay, oops, it's still off. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay. Not wanting to come on. Let's see if we can. Anything with Brendan? Can you help get a microphone on? Okay. No.
Right, how do we go there?
There, you're back now, Gay. Okay, you're back with us.
Okay, yeah, I was just going to type it into the text box. I managed to get my microgreen seeds from a seed supplier online that I have used before, but I didn't know about the microgreen seeds.
Okay.
They're certified, yeah.
Okay.
And I've got them in 25 gram lots, so I'm not having to buy kilos.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's great, because then you can start with smaller quantities, and we spoke about that previously as well. So that's great. Please keep coming into the class and letting me know how it goes, all right?
Yeah, sure will.
Okay, no, great. All right, any other comments? Any other suggestions?
No.
Okay. Okay, that's been great. And please don't forget, you're going to get an email. In fact, I was actually showing you that, and then we went. I went and clicked. There's the email. You're going to get a similar email to that. But what I want to point out is that Get Set Up really want feedback from you. So I know it's midnight, and I know perhaps you can leave the email until tomorrow morning, and that's fine. But please give feedback. Give comments about the class, give suggestions about the class. You know, Get Set Up is about you and me. Okay, it's not about them and us. It's about you and me. So give feedback so that we can benefit, and make suggestions, and feel free to just interact with the feedback. All right.
Okay. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Goodbye.
Night.
5 stars as soon as I get access to my email.
I appreciate that, Teresa. Thank you.